In this video, I'll be going through the 2022 PSAT math portions of the exam. They don't do these question and answer services anymore, I believe. So they don't release the test anymore. So I believe this is probably the last one that got released. And you could find this test easily online. The documents that I found only give the multiple choice answers without explanation. So hopefully this video can be of use and helpful for you if you're studying for the exam or just needed some practice. Whether the PSAT or the SAT, they're pretty much the same. Just one's shorter than the other. Okay, let's begin. I pre-solved all the questions, so I'm intending to go fast in this. I'm not going to go through every single step, probably. You can pause the video definitely to slow down or even watch the video at a slower speed. Okay? All right, number one. We're given this equation. What is the solution to the given equation? So what do we do first? We got to isolate y, so divide by 2 on both sides. You get this. Add 5 on both sides. You get this. Y equals 12 as a result. By the way, I'll comment on which ones that the test makers deemed as difficult as well. So in this part of the exam, the no calculator portion, by the way, most of them were easy leveled. Or I should say easy to intermediate. Okay, number 2. You're given these inequalities. Which of the following points in the xy plane satisfies the given system of inequalities? Let me focus this camera real quick. I feel like it's not completely focused. Apologies. I think, is this better? I'm not sure really. Okay, hopefully this is better. Okay. So if you have no recollection of how to solve a system of inequalities, you like graph it and that, but you're not allowed to calculate in this one, so you have to graph it by hand. So I wouldn't do that. Instead, just plug in and see which one satisfies, okay? Or which ones don't satisfy. You can cross them out. So for example, we plug in 1, 1 into the first one. Would that be right? 1 is less than 2. That's correct. How about this one? It'll be 1 is greater than 2. That's not right, so cross that one out. How about choice B? If we plug in 3, 0, is 0 less than 6? Yes. How about here? Is 0 greater than 0? That's not true. Cross that out, okay? And then similarly, you can plug that in. I'm not going to do it, so you'll find that it violates one of them. So the last choice is C. That has to be the one. Okay, so you don't have to exactly know how to solve this. You can just plug in. This is the multiple choice. That's a common technique. Okay, number 3, in the linear function f of 0 is 2, f minus 6 is 0. Which equation defines f? It's a linear function. So what do we need? Oh, a linear function means like a line. Slope-intercept form, point-slope form, those things. So we can get the slope. That's just change y, we change in x. Take the 2 points, find the slope. That is a third. So you can get rid of c and d right away. All right? And then actually we can use slope-intercept form because they gave us the y-intercept. It's 2. So this is 2 right here. So that's b. Y equals mx plus b. We found the slope. B, they gave us. It's 2. So the answer is B. That's what I wrote over here. All right. Number 4. Did it get to intermediate yet? Let me see what the test makers thought. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3 just now were easy. 4 to 13 are going to be intermediate, what the test deemed intermediate, okay? Okay, the relationship between the possible lanes L and corresponding widths W of any rectangle with perimeter 24 is given by the equation above, which the following is a graph of the equation in the LW plane. Okay, so you can, if you look at the choices, the W is like the Y, and L is like the X, okay? So you can, first of all, for this guy, you can divide by 2 on both sides. So L plus W equals 12. And then since W is like the Y, if we want it in slope-intercept form, Y equals mx plus b, we got to solve for W. So W is negative L plus 12, okay? First of all, I already checked, do all of them have a negative slope? They do, so that doesn't help us. The quote-unquote y-intercept with the w-intercept is 12. So we can pick between C and D because A and B don't have the correct y-intercepts, okay? Now we can also look at the x-intercept, which is really the L-intercept. So that's when x equals 0, what's the value of y? Or when w equals 0, what's the value of L? It's 12. Okay, so we expect 12 here as well. So the answer is D. That's how I thought of approaching this one. Okay, next, 5. What is an equation of the graph shown? Well, these are all in vertex form, if you remember that representation of a parabola. So the vertex is the max and the min. The vertex is 2, negative 5. That's what HK, remember this? This is the vertex form, so we plug in HK. H is 2, K is negative 5. Okay? We don't even need to bother to find the A. We could if we wanted to, but we can immediately just start matching answers. And that is A. Okay? All right, the solution to the given system of equations is x, y. What is the value of x minus y? This, hopefully you remember you can factor this. That's x plus y times x minus y. So since they gave us x plus y is 8, just replace this with an 8. And then divide, and you get x minus y, which is what they're asking for, is 4. Okay? Number 7, the relationship between two variables x and y is linear. For every increase in the in the x value by 1, the y value increases by 4. What is the value of x? When the value of x is 2, the value of y is 11. Which equation represents this relationship? Okay, so this sentence over here is describing the slope, change in y over change in x. So the change in y is 4, positive 4, increasing. Change in x is positive 1, increasing. So it's 4. And they gave us a point, 2, 11. Point slope form, we can use that to find the equation. So y minus 11 equals 4 times x minus 2, solve for slope-intercept form. That's choice D. You can also just use slope-intercept form directly, but I personally like to use point-slope form. Okay. Number 8, how many solutions does this given equation have? How do we know that it's infinitely many? Well, just multiply both sides by 10. You get 50x minus 100 equals 50x minus 100. These are exactly the same. So no matter what value of x you plug in, it'll always be true. So infinitely many. Okay, the equation above models the fuel economy, E of S, in miles per gallon of fuel of a certain vehicle as a function of constant vehicle speed S in miles per hour, where S is between 20 and 70. Based on the model, which of the following is the best representation of E of 25 equals 24 in this context? Honestly, a lot of these blurbs, you don't have to read the whole thing. I just read the whole thing because I'm trying to explain the question. But to be honest, you could just probably pick bits and pieces of information. Especially if you practice a lot, you'll notice that on these exams, they ask the same things pretty much all the time for these more simpler types of questions. Okay? So, what is, this is the function, right? So what is S? S is 25 and S is the speed. Put commas here. S is the speed. They tell us that. Where is it? S is the speed. S in miles per hour. It's vehicle speed. So it's 25 miles per hour, okay? And E is miles per gallon. They tell us that up here, the fuel economy. So at 25 miles per hour, the fuel economy is 24 miles per gallon. That's how we interpret it. The vehicle has a constant speed of 25 miles per hour. Fuel economy is 24 miles per gallon. Okay? That's it. No tricks to this one. They give you all the answers, all the information you need up there. Okay? The given function P models the population of a town T years after 2016. Which of the following functions Q models the population of the town N months after 2016? So you got to change this from years to months. So this is how we think of it, okay? We know that 12 months equals 1 year. So basically, we kind of want to replace this machine, T, with a machine in terms of months. This is in terms of years, it's in terms of months. We want it in terms of months. So what's another machine that converts between the two? Another formula. 1 year is 12 months. So you can, if it's n number of months, then it's n over 12 years. Okay, so you can quickly check. When it's 12 months, 1 year replaces, right? So t is 1 year, n is 12, this works. 12 over 12 is 1, you replace that, right? And when you have 2 years, that's 24 months. Okay, so t is 2, we need this to be 2, when n is 24, it is. So you can replace this with the t. Choice A. Okay, that's how I like to think of it. And I always check with some easy checks like that. All right. 11. When x is 0, the value of y is 75. The value of y increases by 9% for every increase of 1 in the value of x. Which equation represents the relationship between y and x? So hopefully you recognize this is an exponential model, first of all. Okay? It's increasing by 9% each time. So you're going to multiply by 1.09 every single time. Okay, so it'll be, if it's one iteration of 9% increase, you multiply once of this by 1.09. If there's 2 iterations, so you do the original times 1.09 and then times another 1.09. If there's 3 iterations, then it's 1.09 times another 1.09 and times a third 1.09. So that's this exponential model right here, not this one. Okay? All right. 12. In 1994, pole vaulting C, you don't really need to read all this. This is some table. Which equation best represents the data in the table? Okay. So if we quickly eyeball this, and eyeball the choices, it's going to be some sort of parabola, okay? It's quadratic. We notice that it increases, then decreases. Okay, so that means there's going to be some maximum that occurs, all right? So it's going to look something like this. And we know that for the standard form and the vertex form, about both of them, when it opens downward like this A has to be negative. Okay, so we can already eliminate C and D, okay? Now, how do I pick that it's B? Well, this is where this vertex form comes in hand, okay? This choice A is in vertex form. The vertex is at 0, 0. H is 0, K is 0. But the max, we know, doesn't occur at 0, 0. It's actually not the min per se. Oh yeah, I guess it's at the min in the real world, okay? The max occurs somewhere here, between probably like at 1.125, something like that, okay? So it's not A, because as I just said, the vertex here is at 0, 0, but we know the max doesn't occur at this point. It occurs over there. So it has to be B by process of elimination, okay? So you can see how if we use simple concepts like this that hopefully you picked up, it's easy to eliminate choices. You don't have to actually go figure it out and calculate the equation. It's very hard to actually. It's not that hard, but tedious, I'll just say that, okay? Next, what is one solution to the given equation? This guy, just use the quadratic formula. I'm not going to go over that. You should simplify to this, and then that's choice B. Okay? All right. This is not multiple choice anymore. Let's see what this guy says. Is this one? Okay. Only the last one they consider difficult, so everything else is intermediate before that. Okay. In the given equation, A is a constant. If the equation is true for all values of B, what is the value of A? Okay, so you could just expand this guy out. This is a difference of 2 squares. So B to the 4th minus 9 equals, this side stays the same, so therefore A is 9. Okay. The solution to the given system of equations is x comma y. What is the value of y? Okay, so we can add both sides, or these two equations together. So this becomes 3x, if we add those together. This becomes 0, and this becomes minus 9. So we solve for x is negative 3. We're interested in y, though, so we got to answer the question. And I don't think you can even submit a negative answer on the SAT, so you for sure know you can't write this in. Or I guess in the digital SAT now, punch this in into the computer, okay? So we got to plug back into either one of the equations, and you get that y is 11. Okay, be careful with the sign. I almost thought it was negative, but it's positive. Okay? Sandra owns a square field. She leases a triangular corner. Figure shaded represents the land she leased. Okay. See, notice how I'm skimming it. You know, I did read this before. You don't have to read every single thing, in my opinion. What is the area of the field in square meters that Sandra does not lease to the farmer? So, how do we do this? We can find the area of the whole thing and then subtract off this area of the shaded. That's it. So the area of the whole square, the area of a square is just the length of one side squared. So that's 6,400. Area of the shaded is a triangle, so half the base times the height. If you do the math, it's 1,000. You got to be able to do this either by hand or in your head. This is simple enough to do in your head. Okay, I'll be blunt about that. No calculator allowed in this section. All right, so you subtract the two, that's 5,400. Okay. Last one, this one they deem hard, and I can totally understand why. It's these mixture ones that a lot of people get confused about. So it says how many liters of 10% salt solution must be added to 5 liters of 25% salt solution to obtain a 15% salt solution. So you got to think of this in terms of the concentration and the amount of salt. Okay? So in a 10% salt solution, as just the name defines, 10% of it is salt. Okay? So 0.1 times, if we have X liters of it, this is the amount of salt in the 10% solution. Okay? And then we have 5 liters of 25% salt solution. So how much salt is there? 25%, so 0.25 times the 5 liters, okay? And we want a 15% salt solution. So 15%, 0.15, how many liters are there? Well, there's 5 from the 25% solution, and we're adding some X amount of the 10%. So X plus 5, this is the total. X of the 10%, there's 5 liters of the 25%, so total in the end after mixing is X plus 5 liters, okay? So this is an equation representing the amount of salt. And it's only an equation of one variable, so we can solve for X, okay? If you're not good with decimals, just multiply everywhere by 100, which is what I did. So if you multiply this term by 100, so move the decimal twice, that's 10x. Move the decimal twice, that's 25. Okay, move the decimal twice, that's 15. Okay, notice everything is divisible by 5, so I divide by 5 everywhere. So 2x plus 25 is 3 times x plus 5. So distribute this 3, solve for x, x is 10. So the hardest part is just setting up this equation. And the second hardest part probably is solving this because there's decimals. So you can use this simple quote-unquote trick, not really a trick in my opinion, but might be a trick for you in your point of view. Multiply by like 10, 100, some power of 10 to get rid of all the decimals to make your life a little easier, hopefully. Okay? That's it for this no calculated section. Let's move on to the calculated required section now.